A warm welcome to each and every one of you to the workshop on B2B payments. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ourselves a little energized. I want to hear a huge round of applause. It should look like we are at least 100 people seated out here. Thank you so much. We already were excited about this initiative at the product launch. Ladies and gentlemen, and to give us more insight, I would like to invite none other than Mr. Subradhi Bhattacharya, in charge product, NPCI Bharat Bill Pay Limited. Can we have a huge round of applause for him, please? And none other than Mr. Manal Giri, Senior Associate, Strategy and Alliances, NPCI Bharat Bill Pay Limited. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I can't hear the claps. What happened to the energy level? Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Shalin.
Thank you. Welcome everyone for our next session on the B2B payments workshop. So, yeah, I think we all have some background of it. When we launched it, we all we know what is all about. So long, we have been into consumer payments, primarily targeting the B2C market, consumers paying for bills to the billers and all that. But eventually we started realizing that there is a big market of B2B payments as well, like retailers paying to distributors, and then like one business to another business and all that, and that's very segregated, non-standardized, mainly cash driven and all that. So then, from there on, like, we started doing some research of how, we can gradually start standardizing that flow, digitizing that flow as well. And over effort of around a year, like, we have come up to a stage where we are going now live with this B2B payments. So before doing that, I think this workshop will help all of us to understand the nitty-gritties of the APIs, the flows, the markets. And I think eventually, you will have lots of questions also you guys must be having. And so on that context, I would like to start today's session. Over to you, Manal.
So great. Thank you, Shubhradeep. So in B2B payments, so before before we deep dive into this session, let's first try to understand the B2B sector as a whole. Right? I mean, we need to have an idea that what is this B2B sector? What happens in actually, who are the people out there who interact? What actually happens there? So to understand this B2B structure, let's first understand who are the leading actors, who are those people who actually come in place and interact with each other. So when we actually started researching about it, we understand that along with all the other actors, there are three major actors. One, of course, the manufacturers, the OEMs, who themselves manufacture the products. The second lead actor is a distributor, and then he finally supplies the goods to the retailer. These are the three main actors, along with many actors, other like a dealer or a sub-dealer. These are the three major actors. Now, going forward, how the usual supply chain of India, or even outside India, it works in a way that manufacturer supplies goods to a distributor further supplies it to a retailer. And in the similar reverse manner, the flow of payments happen. So this is just a complete pretext to start the workshop as to who are the leading actors, how does the flow of goods happen, and how does the flow of payments happen. So now, further going into challenges, I think Shubhradeep will now explain the challenges.
So, as I give a little background that, when this flow of payment is happening from retailer to distributor to the manufacturer, so that currently is primarily cash driven. And with this cash, all the cash handling inefficiencies and costs comes in. Like the guy, who has gone there to collect the cash, he might run away with the cash, he might misplace that cash. And on top of that, there's a high cost of depositing the cash as well in the bank. So there's a lot of inefficiencies which are there in handling the cash. And it's a very, very big pain point for the distributors or for the entity who is collecting the cash. Second is accounting complexity. So again, it's again a challenge for the entity who is collecting the payments. For him, like for multiple sources, the money is getting collected. Someone giving cash, someone is doing NEFT, someone might use some other payment method, and now the accounting person has to collate, and there is no standardized way. Like, okay, which retailer has done this NEFT? That might not be very easily understandable. Then then you will have all the call, all the messages, this is the transaction ID, and all that thing has to happen. So that's the accounting complexity is currently there. Then the reconciliation failure. Of course, when there is a lot of complexities, then reconciliation failure, there will be mismatch on the balance sheet that we can see. And then the lack of digitization. So as I say, like, this whole process is not a very streamlined process. It's not that, there is a very standardized platform where this distributor retailers can use to do this transaction.
So after the major challenges which was listed by Shubhradeep, how is Bharat Bill Pay trying to cater these challenges or try to kill these challenges? The very first thing that comes into our mind is multiple invoice fetch and payment. This is a facility where we are actually, in a sense, empowering the distributor, or let's call it a seller, any seller. Let's not bucket him into a distributor or a retailer or a manufacturer. Any seller is actually issuing multiple invoices at the same time to his buyer. So that's a facility which we are actually coming in, and at the same time the retailer is also having the flexibility to select whichever invoices he wants to make a payment to. He selects them and makes a payment. Can we have the next one? Providing instant confirmation. So today, in today's world, in the B2B scenario, a lot of payment majorly happens on goodwill. कि यार मैंने आज पैसे भर दिए, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को वो पैसा मिल गया होगा, मुझे कल माल आ जाएगा. Yes, it's a good thing. Businesses have been running on this good faith till now. But when in this world of technology, why don't we have this assurance? And Bharat Bill Pay comes with this assurance of providing instant confirmation after the payment. Uniform user experience, another thing which BBPS gets in. You go on any of the BBPS empowered front-end channel, though the UI UX might differ, of course, but the transaction flow, the experience of the journey, from the start till the final confirmation receipt, the flow remains the same, the experience remains the same. So one of the other benefits which BBPS gets in. Further grievance mechanism, today we have already a central complaint dispute management system, which actually takes care of all the complaints that comes to us from the customers. Next, the brand promise. With our Be Assured logo, we carry our own brand promise and trust to the customers. So overall, Bharat Bill Pay is trying to kill those challenges which are currently existing in the B2B scenario. Let me take you all through the customer journey. I think this is one part where usually many questions come, क्या retailer करेगा क्या? हम बोल रहे हैं multiple invoice, ठीक है. I just want to take you through the entire journey as to from the step 1 to step 2, what does the retailer has to actually do. First screen, a normal screen. You open up any Google Pay, Phone Pay app, any app. You see the list of categories once you enter the bill payment section. There is electricity, water, gas, DTH. Along with that, there will be a B2B category. A direct name, B2B, that will simplify it for the customer. A B2B category will be displayed. The buyer selects the B2B category and goes to the next page where he selects the subcategory. We understand, right? I mean, B2B is a whole huge market. It can't be clubbed into one category and we can't ask the buyer to select the supplier just after selecting the category. We had to channelize it. We further channelized it to the subcategories. It could be pharma, FMCG, agro. There could be many, depending upon the buckets of the billers we have. Next step we have is, after the subcategory, then he selects the supplier to whom he wants to. It could be any. Let's call it a seller again. He selects the seller that he wants to pay to. After he selects the seller, it there's the customer parameter page. Again, these parameters are something which we are keeping flexible to the distributor, whatever parameters he wants his customers to actually, so today we had a question in the launch that there could be security issues. So we are completely keeping it open to the distributor, whichever parameters are satisfactory for him to validate his customers. It could be a mobile number or it could be an additional parameter if he wants to have it. So if there are any issues, he can have those additional parameters. That's what we have kept it. Mobile number, there could be a buyer code, there could be any other parameters. Once the seller has been validated, then he further goes to the main screen, which is a new facility and a future feature that we have been seeing continuously is a multiple invoicing feature. So you see here, right? There are 1, 2, 3, 4 invoices that are presented to the seller as of now. So he has the facility of selecting all the 4, only one, or whatever he wants to pay. He selects those invoices and the total of those selected invoices is what he gets to pay. Selects the invoices, goes to the next screen, selects the bank account number, completes the payment, and then gets the final confirmation. This is the start to end customer journey for the B2B.
Now coming to the transaction flow, I think like this is the first question that always comes to the business in mind that, okay, all said and done. Now tell me, what is the additional development that I need to do? That's a cost and a time. So, and that's a very, very important question for all of us. And the best part is that now we have the same architecture. We have the same COU, BOU, buyer, seller. Now it's a customer and biller. You can have the same architecture over here. And we have the same fetch request API and the same fetch payment API. The only changes that has been done over here is the multiple invoicing part. Now in the fetch API, we earlier used to have a response block where it used to carry all the pending bill amount, the due date and everything. Now the same block can have multiple records. So that's the change in the fetch API, existing fetch API. And similarly in the payment API, when the payment is being posted from the buyer to the seller, this API will forward those invoice details to the seller platform via the BOU. So same API with some minor tweaks is actually serving a very huge market. Moving on. Sorry.
So what are the benefits actually a seller would have in this B2B category as such? Right? There has to be some benefits if there are challenges. Otherwise, the product will, of course, not take it ahead. So one of the biggest benefit is the flexibility to issue multiple invoices. Today, he can issue as number of invoices as much as he can to his buyer. The next benefit is, of course, again, the exponential digital outreach. So that's one of the USPs which BBPS gets in. That once any biller is integrated with BBPS, he is listed across the entire BBPS system. So today, there is Google Pay, there is Phone Pay. Tomorrow, there could be any XYZ Pay. The biller doesn't have to go and integrate separately with all of these, right? It is BBPS job, BBPS is there right at the center to list him across the entire ecosystem. Guaranteed settlement cycles, the operating units today, I don't know, I mean, not many of us outside NPCI know this, but every OU puts in settlement guarantee funds. That is the motive of it is if there is any time, any loss to any entity, anything goes down, the end customers will never suffer. So according to the proportion of the throughput or according to the proportion of the volume of every OU passes to the BBPS, he has to put in a settlement guarantee fund which will give them a guarantee of settlements, and the end consumer will never suffer. So that's another one big benefit. Next, centralized complaint and dispute management system. The core purpose of this system is whenever there is a complaint, whether we actually don't know who is the owner of this complaint. There could be a fault at the COU side, there could be a fault at the biller side, there could be a fault at the BOU side. Our complaint and also NPCI side. So we take the onus of routing this complaint to its owner, and then the owner further takes it ahead to solve this complaint. The next benefit is single integration. to collect payment across all platforms. What we mean by this is, as I said, he will only has to integrate with BBPS. He doesn't have to go and integrate multiple times on multiple platforms. That's again, it cuts short the operational activity at the biller's end completely. Further, with the buyer benefits.
Yeah, so far we heard about the benefits from the seller, like maybe for distributors in our example. Now let's understand the benefits from the buyer, like the retailer. Know why he should accept this mode of payment or this methodology of payment. So the first is the flexibility of choosing. Okay, if I have received multiple invoices from distributor, which all invoices I want to pay when. So that kind of power is with the retailer, with the buyer. So that gives him the flexibility. Second comes the uniform experience. So I think everyone right now in India is using all the payment apps and all that on the bank apps to make the payments. They are using the BEPS platform to make the bill payments. The payment experience is exactly the same as you've already seen. So they don't need to learn anything new. So for them is the same way of like how they are doing a bill payment. So there's no zero learning for them to just make a payment to a distributor now. Next comes the instant confirmation. So as I like, if the retailer is giving a cash, the cash will get deposited. If he's giving a check, the check needs to be encashed. So if there's any FTI, the buyer needs to give a call that whether this is transaction ID, please confirm whether you received or not. Now this is the instant confirmation he's getting on his mobile. So that's the third benefit. The convenience, of course, he can do it whenever he wants. He will receive notification on his mobile or whenever a new bill is getting generated and all that. And for there is no amount limit. So based on the payment method that he is using, there is absolutely no payment restriction on the amount restriction on the BEPS platform.
Taking it further to the go-to-market strategy. So what is it that we are going to do to approach this heavy loaded, huge market? I mean, when we call it B2B, we expand the scope. Business to business can be anything. Business to business can be a small kirana shop paying his bills. Business to business can be a huge distributor of HUL paying it to HUL. There could be many different segments. So we actually had to consider a few parameters to decide what should be our first two to three segments who will actually give us the huge impetus. So what were those parameters? One of the biggest parameters, what are the current payment modes and channels that are used in a particular segment? If there is no digitization at all in that particular segment, it is but obvious that it is difficult to digitize that segment in the first instance. So getting those segments who are currently slightly digitized. Second important thing was a frequency. How frequently the invoice is being issued to the customer, right? I mean, that's where we call it, that is the reason why we are targeting the retailer to distributor leg, instead of going to a distributor to manufacturer leg, because that is where the value of the payment is high and the volume goes decreasing. But when you come down the table between a retailer to a distributor, the volume keeps on increasing and the value gets decreasing, which is a perfect fit for this kind of a product. So taking these various parameters, the next parameter is also what we call after the frequency is the average ticket size. We can't expect taking the UPI limits into the consideration or taking other mode limits into the consideration, though BBPS doesn't have any limit, right? But there are other modes which has limit. So we can't expect a 50 lakh payment to be done through this product. So again, average ticket size was another parameter which was very crucial to decide which sectors are we going further. So taking these 3-4 parameters, we actually came down to our first few categories which we will target. The biggest two categories out of these were FMCG and pharma. FMCG, what is the full form of FMCG, guys? We all know it, right? Fast moving consumer goods. The name itself suggests they're fast moving consumer goods. As fast they move, more the sale, more the supply, more the invoices that will be issued, more the payments. So that itself builds the crux of it. FMCG is one of the biggest target. Second is pharma. All the medicines that are getting supplied, they're again quite fast moving. So deciding on these factors, these are the few sectors which we are targeting first as our first step to the market. Then there are next few categories like home appliances, electricals, electronics, and then at the end there are a few others like stationaries and all those. So this is the go-to market that we are targeting, and the parameters on the basis of which we have decided this strategy. Now going to the next slide, what is the universe that we have in mind, right? I mean, yes, there could be, we say that, you know, we'll onboard, we are keeping it open that it could be a manufacturer, it could be a distributor, anything, but we need to have a focus. And to have that focus, we are, as I said, we'll target the distributors as a biller. Keeping this in mind, we deep down into a few sectors, as I said, are high potential sectors, and these are the number of distributors which potentially BBPS can onboard. 0.88 million distributors that are present across these four categories, guys. Just imagine the number of invoices that would go across, right? So these were the distributors, these are the number of retailers. Next slide I want to take you all to is the value. What is धंधा कितना होगा भाई? कितना पैसा flow होगा? Just imagine these four sectors itself are putting 4.73 trillion value into this BBPS ecosystem. I mean, that's the potential that we are keeping. The next slide, this could be potentially the last slide of the presentation today. How do we come to this number of 63 million? Only on these four, and this is a monthly number, this is a annual number, but 63 million just from two categories, the FMCG and pharma. How have we extrapolated it? Reaching here, yes, there are some approximations that we have considered. There are approximately 7.5 million retailers in FMCG and 1.19 million in pharma. These retailers would make payments to distributors on monthly basis. What is the average number of payment? What is it that one retailer, how many times is he paying to the distributor? On an average, 3 payments he makes it on a monthly basis in both these categories. And what are the number of distributors that he's making payment to? Are 2 and 3. When you multiply it and extrapolate it, you understand that 500 million transactions are passed only through FMCG and 130 million transactions are passed only through pharma as a sector on an annual basis. Guys, even if we take 10% of it, the 63 million is just the 10% of this. Even if we target to have the 10%, we make 63 million transactions in a year. And that's our preliminary target. I think we call it off over here for the presentation with this and
So-
Shubhradeep.
So I think the last 3 slides have woken every one of us. I think I saw that, you know, eyes glittering and, you know, those big numbers. Of course, you know, it's a huge, huge market. Challenges are also equally huge because, as I said, it's non-standardized, but you have to streamline it further. And with the help of our ecosystem, with the help of all of you, I think we are very confident that we will be able to crack it. And with this, we'll thanks everyone, and I think we can have some Q&A. Oh, yeah, we can open it for.
Before the query, I think there's a video which
yes.
has to be played.
Yes.
Just a demo of the transaction as to how it will happen. Last demo and then.
Can you play the video?
Solving complexities of B2B payments through Bharat Bill Pay. Simply log into your Bheem UPI app or any Bharat Bill Pay enabled app or website with B2B feature. Under Bill Pay section, select B2B. Select the subcategory you wish to pay money to. Select the supplier partner you wish to pay. Enter the mobile number and other details to get invoice details. Select the invoice that you wish to pay in case of multiple. Verify the amount for your invoices and pay. Get an instant confirmation or receipt with the paid and pending invoices. Wasn't that easy? Bharat Bill Pay, making invoice payments faster for your business.
Wasn't that easy?
Yeah, I think we can.
To the biller, how does the system recognize that? What is the unique identifier? Is it my mobile number? Is it, okay, how does that work?
So the first identifier is the mobile number. But if if the biller or if the seller wants his buyer to be identified by some other more parameters also, we are open to it. So it could be a buyer code. There could be there could be some a unique code given to the seller, right? Today, just for the electricity payment, we have our own customer IDs. We have our own customer numbers along with the mobile numbers. It's just the same thing which we are taking it
So
for.
custom parameter, basically to answer all the custom parameter that we are currently having, the same, we are extending it for the B2B payments as well. Correct, correct.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm. Only the
Not the retail,
distributors,
not
not the retailers. Only the
distributors.
distributors, not
Or
the
aggregator of those distributors, like those.
consumer.
Yes, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Manal,
So it's again the same fetch and payment. Like, suppose a distributor guy has come to me to make the payment. So I log into the app, I enter my details. It will show me what all payments are due to that distributor. And I can select, I can make the payment. So the fetch, same fetch and payment philosophy.
I have one doubt. Actually, when it comes to the B2B, see, most of them pay from the current accounts. See, when you talk about a distributor or supplier, whoever maybe. So, which are all the apps will give the support to the net banking access? So, yeah, most of them they will not use UPI mode because it's P2P, P2M transactions. So, how you are going to address it? And when the other apps like GPay or PhonePay, and who is going to enable it? How soon?
So, Prakash, let me put this to the entire crowd that when we say B2C payments, we only think of a consumer paying to a Tata Power or Adani, right? But we never think of TCS is also paying his bills to Tata Power and Adani today through BBPS. That is happening through the current accounts. So that is already there. All those things, the entire infrastructure is already in place. We are just extending. So the current account will never be an issue.
How can a seller enrolls all the multiple invoices that they may have to a buyer?
Can you please come again on the
Okay,
question?
So,
I
as
think
a buyer, I want to pay to my seller, right? As a retailer, I want to pay to my distributor.
Huh.
Now, that distributor enrolls the invoice in the system, right? If I have 10 invoices, do I have to manually enter one of it, each of it, or you have some bulk provision as well?
So, see, this invoicing part is being handled by the platform aggregator who is onboarding the distributor into this BPS platform. So, the invoicing part is handled by that platform. Now, when the retailer is making the payment, it is doing a fetch request to that platform which is maintaining those invoices. So, how the distributor will upload that invoice in the most user-friendly way is up to that entity to do it. But retailer, when has to pay, they will use that buyer code or some identifier, will get all the pending bills and will make the payment. Yeah. See, it can be the OU or yeah, yeah, like OU can onboard like an aggregator or some TSP, like who is on in turn is onboarding that distributors. Yeah, that.
So, but your APIs may be accepting only one invoice at a time, right? Or
No,
does it
no. So that's what we explained. Like now we have made a change that the fetch can return multiple invoices. The payment can also accept multiple invoices. So that has been the development that has been like that. That's been the change that has been done in the existing fetch and payment API. Could I clear your query or?
Yeah, means if I am creating a software or a mobile app
Okay.
for a merchant or for a distributor, and if he has say 1,000 invoices
Okay.
to be entered in a system, can he just use an Excel sheet or something where he can upload and all the invoices get fed in?
Okay, so now when you are building that software, so it's your responsibility to give that upload facility of Excel. So you have the database of that invoices in your platform, what BEPS is doing and going a query on your platform to get the pending bills. So you will return me all the pending bills for that buyer. Uploading of Excel is on your platform.
So the invoices never reaches BharatPay.
Invoice is reaching BharatPay when I'm fetching it. I don't
Only from
maintain a
the-
database of it.
Only when the
When the
buyer is
initiating
paying.
it. Exactly.
Okay, so every time the buyer has to pay, you have to query.
Yes.
Get
So,
to this.
see, currently also when you are making a bill payment to say Tata Power, we are not maintaining the invoice or bill database of Tata Power. Every time you do a fetch, every time we ask Tata Power, please, give me the detail of that consumer. So that's the current architecture we have in BPS as well.
Thanks.
Subradeep, one question here.
Yeah.
So NPCI has done fantastic job in terms of the B2B payment. Even within a short period of time, you have introduced the APIs as well. So that is a very wonderful thing. So only the worry area for us, and that as you are aware, at the COO sides, there are only 3 to 4 players. I don't want to take name here, they are contributing the major business. But when we talk about the B2B payment, so there is a whole change in a system. When we talk about the electricity or the other categories, there is only one input parameters. Or when we talk about the plan MDM, there is a certain set of plan MDM. But when we talk about the B2B, what will happen? The response will change for the every distributor. Let's say example, if we take example of Amul Dairy, what will happen? Suppose Amul wanted to show a 10 invoice number. I know that will be a flow in bill fetch response. But when we talk about on the consumption part, on the COU platform, it is not that easy. So NPCI will have to work with these players. How can they articulate that things into the current scenario? Then only this will be a great success to the entire ecosystem. Otherwise, this will be a same situation like the education's biller. We do have like thousands of biller, but as we are aware, how they are performing on the COU application side, that is because of the acceptability by this at the COU end or the AI application. So I think this is the area where NPCI had to do a survey, or they will have to put some their efforts. Then only this will get hits. That is what my expectation from NPCI.
Sure. I think very good point noted, Amal.
I think yes, that's a very good point. That how are these invoices getting displayed at the front end platform is a very good point, where the NPCI will have to actually talk to these front end platforms and sort it out. But there's also one more point, Amol. A distributor will never want his retailer to get confused, so he himself will never send him 25 invoices. At the end of the day, he wants to get paid. He will make sure that he sends those 5 invoices. Only if he has paid those, he'll raise other invoices. So that point is very well taken, that if there is sometimes some distributor who comes in and says, nahi yaar, mera 15 invoices hai, dikha do usko. And that is where your point will then come in, where we'll have to sit with the front end apps and do the UI UX flow.
So Manal, the visibility of these billers, B2B billers, is of much importance here.
Right.
Because we go and sell the billers that, you will be available across all the platforms. And once they are onboarded and they 3 to 4 weeks, they are not seen anywhere. Yeah, so that, gives a wrong impression.
No, certainly it's a very valid concern. And I think, we are also working on the same as well. That has not been presented in this forum today, but I think we will shortly have a separate workshop on that how we are also automating the part of how the billers are getting displayed on the COE platform. So we will definitely have another workshop. The work is on. I think that is already gone to our sandbox. So we will have a separate workshop on that.
Great.
Yeah. Any last question?
Anyone else? Ladies and gentlemen, I must say what an amazing initiative by Bharat Bill Pay on this product, B2B payments. Come on, a huge round of applause. And I think these two gentlemen out here also deserve a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for giving us in-depth insight, great information, the benefits of B2B payments. Thank you very, very much. I'm sure we're all excited to use it, right? Yes? Come on, we can do better than that. Yes? I like the claps. Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very big thank you to each and every one of you for being a part of this workshop. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.